All right, so you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm TJ Nguyen.
And this is Beautiful Bodies of Birmingham.
And this is Beautiful Bodies of Birmingham.
Woo! Okay, so I guess you can just start from the beginning. Talk about when you first kind of noticed your body image and stuff like that.
I guess I didn't really notice body image issues as I really just noticed that, one, Asians weren't really representative in popular culture, so I had no idea how to act. And the only other people I could model my behavior after were my parents. And they're both first generation Vietnamese people. And so they moved to America during the war, and slightly before, and they really didn't have the support of their parents. And so when they became parents, they had no good model of what being good parents was like. And so I remember growing up, they would always fight and bicker and throw things at each other and like violently attack each other and call the cops on each other, and it was like really petty. And the crazy thing is that neither of them did drugs or alcohol. It was just like all just base like emotional reaction. Because I guess they really didn't have that parental support growing up.
Yeah. They only knew what they knew.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't blame them, but from my perspective, the environment I was growing up in, it's like I had nobody to trust. Like, I couldn't trust what my parents were thinking because they were crazy. And me and my sister didn't interact well because our only model of interaction between loved ones was like constant fighting and bickering. Our older brother and sister, and they were in college and doing their own thing, so we could only see them every now and then.
Yeah.
But like, I guess subconsciously I block out a lot of those memories, but the ones I remember were my brother and sister picking us up from school and taking us to the gas station and getting us like lemon heads from the gas station.
Yeah.
And that being like a happy moment.
Oh.
But like I said, they're off of college and doing their own thing, so a lot of the time you just felt really alone. And like, I guess my little sister's the only one who can sympathize because I'm sure she was lonely because I didn't talk to her either.
Yeah.
And we couldn't really interact with our parents in a positive manner. And so I just remember us both being so angry, like throughout our entire childhood. And I remember the first time I wanted to change was in AP English in 11th grade. And we do these warm-ups in class, and the teacher puts up a quote, and you write like a 5-minute response to it. And the quote was, "You are who you pretend to be." And everybody else was like, "Well, if you pretend to be a fake person just to get other people to like you, blah, 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 you'll end up being that kind of person." And I was like, yeah, that's true. But the way I saw it was like as an opportunity. I was like, well, I'm not confident. I'm not excited about myself. Maybe if I pretend to be that way, I'll eventually believe it. And so I started just pretending. I started acting confident. I started like researching like positive body language and things like that, and started exercising those things. And eventually my mind caught up. It's like a physiological response. So your mind can affect your body, and if you like, your body will affect your mind. So I did the mannerisms, and eventually my mind caught up, and I was like, oh, I'm actually getting more confident, and I'm like feeling better about myself. And I don't have to be so angry. I remember thinking that, man, I'm so angry. It's like, why doesn't anybody want to be friends with me? And I was like, wait a minute. That makes sense.
So is that when you first realized you were probably a bully?
I realized I was a bully around then, but I remember my bullying going back to like middle school, and like the girls I liked and the girls I thought were cute, like I would like be really mean to them, like I would make them cry, and like thinking back on it, it seems so stupid.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I mean, really the only model I had was negative interactions towards women and towards just people in general.
So you didn't know any better?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Do you feel like you got bullied at home by your parents?
Yeah, they like, I don't know if it's a minority thing or if it's just them specifically, but they just ruled and intimidated, and so like I was always scared and I had no idea what to expect. It's like we had no daily routine, so I had like no idea what to do day to day.
Yeah.
Like I pretty much had no direction from them at all.
Wow.
A big influence are the teachers I've had, and so like the only, I guess you spend more time with your teachers than you do with your parents, especially like in the middle school age. Like I've worked with kids a lot, and a lot of times a lot of parents can just check out at that age, and then so they're like really involved in elementary years. They check out middle school and like check back in like towards the end of high school, and they're like, wait, how do we get here? And there's a lot of tension.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's what happened. Like my parents checked out, and like, and then like become high school, I was like trying to figure out things on my own, and they didn't know who I was, and they're like angry about it. And they're like, "This is how we raised you." I was like, "I mean, you didn't. You left me alone to figure out things. Me and my sister. So we like basically had to figure out how to interact with people, how to grow up and survive on our own. Yeah. So like even the friends I've had since the 5th grade or the 4th grade, we've had our rough patches because I've just like been so like negative. Like I was just negative for so long. And
you said mean things?
Yeah, said mean things, did mean things, and like intentionally acted out of hatred and like wanted like them to hurt, and so I like play pranks on them or like just do things to demean them.
Yeah.
When I didn't need to. Like thinking about it now, it's just, I mean, it seems so silly. It's like the snowball that starts the avalanche, and I just like slowly like started realizing, I was like, well, maybe the way I think about people is like the way I was influenced. Maybe that's not the best way. And a lot of that is going through the engineering academy and realizing like in a scientific method, it's like what are my controls and what can I control? And so you change your independent variable, and so like I start to act like I start to like realize that things are happening to me, and then you make up your mind how you want to react to them, as opposed to being reactive. So like when things happen, you respond instinctually. I guess what separates us from animals is that like we can get hurt and then decide how we feel instead of being hurt and then lashing out.
Or it's more like not really deciding how you feel, but it's deciding how you're going to react to those feelings.
Yeah.
Like what you're going to do.
Yeah,
like
so
you
like
said.
I still definitely feel those feelings, but I find healthier outlets like going to play basketball or like get out in a aggressive competitive environment where that kind of behavior is okay.
Yeah.
So like if I'm playing basketball and like drive hard to the lane because I'm angry, nobody's gonna stop me because that's a natural move in there. If I do that in the office or with my parents or with my loved ones, then it's like it's not there's no place for that.
Yeah. So do you feel like bullying is taught at home?
Or
like a learned behavior in a way? Like you kind of reflect your environment?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If all you see is other people putting each other down, like people, like husband and wife, people are supposed to love each other, like mother and daughter, father and son, like people in position putting down people who are relying on them. How else are you supposed to know how to react to the outside world, especially if you're in an isolated position? I was never put in a social situation around other kids, and if I was, I responded. Like I responded the only way I knew how. I was aggressive, and like they never really wanted to become friends.
Yeah.
And so.
So you were so aggressive that people were almost like scared of you.
Yeah. Definitely. People, I know people like thought negative of me, and they rightfully should have. They're like, people see the world through their lens, and if I was seeing it through their lens, I would understand how I would come off as a dick. But if they're seeing things through my lens, they'd be like, this is coming from a place of hurt.
Do you feel like because you didn't get that support, maybe you felt bad about yourself, like whether it was your body or school or just life? Like, do you feel like there was some things you were insecure about?
Honestly, I haven't felt good about myself until like pretty recently. Like I'm 25, I don't think I felt good about myself until like maybe the last couple weeks or so.
Really?
Yeah, and I've won national awards. Like I've won National Student Employee of the Year, and I've been involved, and I have all these reasons to like myself, but I still struggle to like find reasons to like myself, and I don't know. I feel like having other people unconditionally love me, like my sister and my brother are now, and my other sister are a really big part of my life now, and I know they love me, and it kind of makes me not afraid to try things or to push my boundaries because I have that safety net with just my siblings. I don't have to rely on my parents. We can rely on each other.
So what about letting people in?
It's definitely hard being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
You have to check your ego, and you have to understand, like on an absolute scale, how you're behaving and how other people perceive you, as opposed to your relative scale and how that's a normal behavior for you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess when you look back, I was always kind of a bully. Like even as a kid, and like interacting with just my cousins, I would just always be like an aggressor and like putting people down. But I guess the worst of it was in middle school, and I hated middle school, and I feel like everybody hates middle school.
Mm-hmm.
It's because people are smart enough to understand other people and hurt them,
Mm-hmm.
and not smart enough to realize how hurtful that is.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's kind of like lashing out at their parents, at each other.
Yeah. Oh my
And
god.
it's like it's kind of like a gladiator arena or a coliseum. It's just everybody's just going to battle at school,
Yeah.
and then you go home, and for most kids, especially like myself, it's another battle with your parents who don't understand you, who don't understand the things you're going through. I remember just picking on girls, like not even girls that I hated, girls that I enjoyed being around, and girls that I liked, and like making them cry and like feel like really shitty about themselves for no reason, other than, oh, this is one way to get them to notice me if they hate me.
Do you feel like maybe the media and society like plays into that because of like misogynistic undertones and stuff in that way? Maybe because it was like, well, boys will be boys, like, and the little girls were like, well, why is he mean to me? And you know, it's like, well, that means he likes you, you know.
I definitely think that's part of it. And it's gotten a lot better lately. I feel like there's a lot more progressive media.
Yeah.
There's like the comedians nowadays are a lot smarter. Like Aziz Ansari does a lot of things addressing race issues and like dating issues and like misogynistic issues.
Yeah.
And
Master of None.
yeah, Master of None is one of my favorite shows. Just like,
yeah, I watched it like 10 times.
He talks about how like progressive like the gay movement is, and how it's ridiculous that you should hate somebody because two people love each other and it doesn't affect you in any way.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just you know, I realized how hurtful I was towards the end of high school and like into my college years.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's like 5 years after the fact, and that's 5 years that these people that I've heard have been stewing with the things I've said, things I didn't mean, the things that I said for absolutely no reason, and like how I made them feel bad about themselves. And a lot of them I've reached out to, and a lot of them are good friends with me today. So I've had friends that I've picked on before, and we have had our ups and downs since the 5th grade, the 6th grade, and being able to reconcile and like actually be intimate and like talk about your feelings without fear is such a powerful like bonding scenario.
So you said you felt like you maybe like scarred people for life. What do you feel like? I mean, like, what do you mean when you say that?
I mean, so the way I think about how kids learn is whatever the first interaction you have with people that you can remember is what sets the tone for life. And I feel like a lot of those memories are formed in your middle school years. And so like, if guys are like telling them that you're like too fat, you're like ugly, all this stuff, then that's gonna stick with them. Like even if they like grow out of their awkward stage and become beautiful women,
they'll never forget it.
Yeah, it's like it's still stuck with them. It's like a learned response, and it's so hard to unlearn something.
It's true.
So you just gotta like realize on a metacognition scale that to think about why you think the way you do.
Yeah.
And try to reprogram your own thinking. You're like, the way I learned this was fucked up. I realize that now. Let me change that and like rewire that pattern.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so you said that you've reached out to them, or some of them, and you feel like a good bit of people have reached out to you, and you've like made mostly peace with that side of yourself?
Yeah. So, well, I feel like the natural response is to regret things, and the way I feel about regret is that you can't change anything that you did in the past. So there's no reason to regret it. All you can do is like reconcile in the future, focus on like building your relationships now, and repairing the damage you've done, as opposed to like undoing the damage you've done. Because what you did is what forms you. So in a way, it's still good, but you have to be able to learn from that.
Yeah. That's heavy and that's powerful and that's hard to do. What, like, I don't know, what would you say to maybe other people that kind of struggle and have anger issues, and, you know, maybe what would you say to all the other bullies out there?
As a bully, or like as anybody.
As a former bully?
Yeah,
or as anyone?
No, as a former bully, and as like just a regular human being, it's like you realize how people make you feel and how it can affect your emotions and how it can affect your entire like day. It's like you could be having a great day and then somebody says something mean about yourself and ruin the last 23 hours of your day with like a 4-second interaction.
Yeah.
So if you realize how bad that makes you feel and then extrapolate it and look at it from other people's point of view, it's like, how much damage am I doing by saying these things?
Yeah.
It's not making me feel any better, like, and it's just like adding a negative energy into the world.
Yeah. So, words have some pretty heavy power.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you say that that's something you had to learn?
I definitely had to learn that because had I known in middle school, I clearly wouldn't have done that. I was a smart kid. I was like, I would have known, like, man, this is actually shitty. But I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And so as I got older and I was able to think about the past, I wish I could have told myself that, think about how you're feeling. Yeah, I definitely believe in karma and positive energy. So doing good things for the sake of doing good things. Not even from a religious point of view. A lot of people like want to do it because it aligns with their religion, but just like as human beings and on a biological standpoint, it's like you want to increase the quality of life and like the chances that your species is going to reproduce.
Yeah. So we have to take care of each other in order to survive.
Yeah, it's evolutionary wise, I feel like it's a behavior that will ensure like that we keep working for each other.
Yeah.
In the future.
So, if 12-year-old TJ had a project like this that he could go online and look at, what do you think he would do?
What do you mean?
Like, would this have helped you? Do you think something like this could have helped you deal with maybe what you were going with at home?
Oh, definitely. If I could have seen a video like this, especially like in the early ages of the internet when there really weren't that many avenues to see videos, and so like everybody saw the same things and like you could really relate. Nowadays, like somebody can mention something they sell on the internet and 100,000 people or like 100 million people like have no idea what they're talking about because the internet's so vast now. But back then, like especially if this gets into the hands of a lot of people, especially key people, you can see the impact it would have.
So do you think if 12-year-old TJ watched this video, he would do what?
He'd probably think about his actions and like start to build relationships on positive values as opposed to negative values. And so as opposed to thinking I can get her to notice me if I made fun of her and all she thinks about is how much she hates herself because of me, I can compliment her, I can like become friends with her and listen to her and understand her or him, and you know, build relationships on positive values.